But to give some advice about memorization, and perhaps somewhat will find it useful. Um, there are memorization techniques already for a long, long time in the world. At least it's known to be in the West, from Rome and Greek, over 2,000 years ago. But it might be very well that it happened already beforehand, both in the West and also in other parts of the world. Now, a bit of the theory about memorization. Basically, when we get new information, it is in some way recorded in our mind, but the difficult thing is to recall it, bring it back when you need it. It's like having a big box of tools, which all the tools there are in a mess. Then you try to put a new object inside of it. Later on, it is still there. It didn't get lost, but to be able to quickly pick it up without getting confused is quite difficult because it's all messy. So those memorization techniques are ways to be able to memorize information we want to later use and to be able conveniently to pull it back at the right moment. Now, those techniques are very helpful as I found in my life as a monastic. It's when I just ordained, I didn't consider so much that one will study much. I thought it's mostly about just being aware of the present moment. However, with the time, I realized that actually many types of information, types of skills are actually needed for some memorization. For example, you meet many people from many different countries, and you just want to know their names. And the names sometimes very difficult to remember because one comes from South Africa, another one from Brazil, and then they get also Pali names which are very similar, all of them with Damo, Kemo, whatever. So it becomes quite difficult to remember it and to identify which monk is Tacha Damo, Kema Damo, Damo, Kema, whatever. So this is one thing. Then later on, I found it that it's very helpful if I can even speak a certain sentence in each language of those people. It simply gives a nice, pleasurable way to create some connection, some interaction with those people. Even just a little bit is appreciated. Then later on, as I was living in Thailand, learning the Thai language is actually quite a task. It takes years and there are many levels of how deep you go into it. So just be able to pronounce words correctly, learning some vocabulary, learning some rules of how the language works, then learning how actually sentences are being spoken, not just like learning vocabulary and knowing various situations. For example, Dhamma talk is kind of a one language, while street speech is another language. Kind of a lot of things to learn. Otherwise, you get confused. Then in Nanuchat, we have every year the Vinaya study. So learning the Vinaya is also very helpful if you can actually remember it, every offense, a certain category, certain factors, certain ways of uh, remedy for the offense, and so on. And also the suttas, for example, one want to maybe not memorize every sutta like Venerable Ananda. Yeah, it's quite ideal to be able to just recall all of them and perfectly and be able to preserve the Dhamma in the world. But still, one want to recall a certain teaching at some point, or being able also to share it with other people. Then it's helpful to be able to memorize certain important information, something that is meaningful. And then there are the chanting, of course. There are a lot of chanting. We have the chanting book, we have the paritas, and later when one's become a bhikkhu and ordained, there is the patimokkha, and actually it's quite a lot. For many months, just to be able to recall the chanting is already hard. Then to be able to understand what one chants while chanting is even more so. So many monks would just try to be able to cross over it, just to know how to chant, while actually learning a bit the vocabulary or the grammar in order to be able to follow and be involved also in the meaning, what one performs is difficult, and if one does it, it's very beneficial. And of course, other people also outside of the Dhamma practice or outside of the monastic system or path, they have all other kinds of things they want to remember, whether they study something or need to know how to orient themselves or to recall where they put their uh, spectacles last night. So being able to put some information in a place where you can later on put it out at the right moment is very helpful. And so it happened that I did practice it and I found it very, very effective, those techniques. It's actually more than one technique because each kind of information needs some particular way of using it. So there are kind of several techniques and one eventually finds its own way, how one's own mind remembers things and how to use it. Those techniques are very effective. And in fact, also other people from the Sangha who use them to some extent found them very helpful for memorizing chanting. Nowadays, even Sapna stay here for maybe 10 days or so, memorize about three paritas. She's now working on the fourth one, on the uh, full version of Atanatya Parita, which is the longest parita. Actually, not many monks can chant it from memory. So um, very short time, it's possible to learn it. However, it is not so easy to do. It's very effective, but it's not easy. It's a bit like physical exercise. One needs to put effort, to sweat a bit, to do it best in order for it to work. Or like any skill that one really wants to do well, it needs some intensity of effort. It doesn't work by itself. So I thought to start with some interactive exercise just to see how we feel. For example, um, can we have one volunteer? Yeah, okay, Bhavana, please, Bhavana ji. Is there a particular individual in this room, and please don't be too shy for the sake of the study, that you don't know his name? Okay, the man wearing black jacket. Can you tell us please your name? Nakul. So let's see how we can learn the name. So the thing about memory is that we have to create connection between two things. It's like language. In language, we have a word and a word, what the word is actually speaking about. We have the sound and the meaning of the sound. For example, we can say a tree, it's a sound, T-R-E-E, and then there is the object itself right there outside. So we can have a curtain, some kind of strange sound for people who don't know English, curtain, very strange sound. But for people who know English, it's immediately gives the concept and the image of this object, and then they know it means like that thing. In the same way, in order to memorize it, we need to create some connection between a certain meaning and something that points to that meaning. So we have the man wearing black jacket and the name Nahul. So let's take we need to take a visual particular object from that person. Let's say the black jacket for now. Okay? How we describe it. Then Nakul is a sound that is perhaps for English speakers it's easier to remember because has a certain meaning. What does it mean, Nakul? Then, if we don't know, we have to find another meaning, something similar. So we think about the word. Is it God or God is the Mahara or Devos? You know, it's a particular. Okay. Nakul Mata, right? We have the from the sutras. So let's say which are you? Let's draw. Which of those meanings you are more familiar with? With the Mahabharata, the hero? Yeah. Okay. Do you have any image of it? It was a soul, a warrior or a god? God. Warrior. So you have to imagine the man wearing black jacket as a warrior. So you can imagine, for example, that this black jacket is actually a shield with, metal uh, plate, yeah, palette, and that he has some uh, helmet or maybe another sword or well, maybe it was an archer, I don't know. And while you're doing it, you try to have the sense that this is Nakul from the Mahabharata because how would you imagine this hero, okay? And you connect it with this person. Then let's try another person. Do you have any other person that you don't know them with group? Okay. On the first line or second? First line. Okay. Then what is your name? Anuj. Anuj. Okay. So you have the person. You can choose one visual feature which is distinctive to Anuj without the word. Yeah, maybe the shirt or the glasses, or you choose. You don't have to tell. You have something. Then you think about the word Anuj. Either you know its own meaning, or you cannot, or if you don't know any Anuj particular, or a friend who calls Anuj or hero, whatever, and you have to look for a similar one. Do you have any particular Anuj? No. No. Okay. If you know that, it. Okay, so if you know that, it will work. If it does, you don't know that meaning, you will have to find a different one. Okay? But because you know, I'm looking at little brother. Do you have a little brother? So, for example, you can imagine our Anuj and your Anuj going together and hand by hand. For example, just one example, being friends playing together with you. Okay, just seeing this image very vivid in your mind for a few seconds. Holding it clearly. Most important is the connection between the two, between both your Anuj and our Anuj. Okay? Okay? Let's take a third person. Do you have any third person? You don't know the name? Can you just repeat again? Sorry. A third person that you don't. Yeah. Ready? Or you know all the others. Okay. Manura. Okay. Manjura. See? I didn't apply properly. Okay. So, do you have any meaning for Manjunra? Either another person that you know with his name or the actual meaning in Hindi or another language? Yeah. Okay. 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 So you can choose a certain distinctive visual feature of Manjunara and connect it with Lord Shiva. And while doing it, just tell yourself, not God, okay? So it reminds you that it's not the same. Okay, seeing this image in your mind clearly for a few seconds, connecting those two objects. Okay, ready? So now we put it to the test. Okay, so we have the man with a black jacket. What image do you have in your mind? Warrior. And what does it mean? And what is the name? Ah, okay. Now let's check the man sitting to the left of the has Anush. Really? Yeah. And then we have the man sitting to the left of Anuj. Okay. Okay. So this is the little version. So this is how it works. And people actually appreciate when you remember the names usually. So they show some attention. Now, let's try to um, look at some new words that we don't know. For example, we saw how it works with name. We can try how to learn. For example, you want to learn a word in Pali or in Thai. Maybe tell me which word in English, what translation you want in another language. Maybe in Thai. Good to see you. Okay. Those who have participated in the Thai classes should know already. Okay. So good to see you. Now, there is a meeting which means two people are now saying goodbye to each other, but they want to meet again. Okay. Now there is the sentence in Thai. How it sounds is completely new for many of us because it is an open mind. Wow. How did you remember? Will I use it to eat? Yes. Okay. Okay. So here are the truth. So for people who still don't know, there's spoken mind. Now this is quite more difficult than learning just one word. Let's start with just one word and meeting. Okay, just meeting. This is a whole sentence. It's a bit more difficult. Let's say meeting. It would be pop. Pop. So what you have to do is create an image of the concept of meeting. Some association that comes to mind. But it's good if everyone will try to have the attempt to make it. So some attempt. Some people meeting means many people sitting around the table. For other people, just two people meeting and shaking hands. But some association that naturally for you, this is meeting. Okay. So you have an image in your mind. Now you connect it to the word hope, something very strange. So you can think, for example, what will hope reminds you? Either a word in hope. Great, that's actually exactly what we did in that time. Okay. So you can imagine, for example, meeting with the hope. Can you make an image of that? Then hold it in your mind. The same image that you created for meeting, now you create and connect also with the presence of the Holy Hope. Okay? So now you have it in your mind, just watch it for a few seconds so it's stable, it becomes easily but later on. It's important to hold it for a few seconds, not just making it and continue on. Because if it's you really see it for a few seconds, then it will connect much stronger and later it will come out easily. Okay. Now let's take another word, and that is each other. That's a bit of a difficult one. It's quite abstract. Each other. Each other. Try to create some image that associates for you with the idea of each other. Whatever comes to your mind. We have. Okay, fine, that's good enough. So just think and remind yourself, okay, this each other. Because each other. Okay? The word in Thai will be gan. Gan. So now we have to think of some word either in Hindi or in English that is sound similar to gan. Yes. Gan. Okay. And now you connect the two people sitting one beside the other. And it's the gan. You have to connect it in such a way that both objects of this image are very clearly connected. Otherwise, when you watch it later, one of them will disappear. They need to be connected. The earlier one word also needs to be connected to the new one, gun. Is that so? How you say? The first image is yes. Two means each other. Whatever your association to it was. Now, second image is we decided on gun. So this kind of makes sense. Sounds very similar to image. And then you connect these two images. Okay? Now, usually, a little trick, a little technique. Usually, two people are much bigger than the gun in real time. Yeah? But in order to have it more connected, it's easy to make these two objects in the same size. So two people, maybe with a big gun. So both there is a balance between the two parts of the image. I remind us that it's a kind of a language. So we use some kind of image that has another meaning. It's not that we are trying to create something completely realistic. Like we use some sound, point to certain meaning. Or like letter, there is some shape, and it means another meaning. The same way we create some kind of a strange image, which then give us another concept. Then we focus on the concept. So don't be afraid of being unrealistic, because we do it also with language or with reading and writing, and our mind doesn't know that it simply points to another thing. It's not the real meaning. Okay. Now hold this image of each other and a gun for a few seconds, both of them about the same time, and they are connected. Okay. Ready? Is it ready? Can take a few more seconds. Two images are connected. Okay. We continue to a third word. So new. Take the new. Think about something that gives you association for new. Maybe something new that you received, or something new that you want, or new invention. New dress, right? Perfect. We have this image of new dress making very new. So it will be obvious the meaning is new. Okay? And the word in Thai is mine. Mine, not mine. Mine. So think of some word in English or in Hindi that sounds similar to mine. Okay? Do we have it? My mother. Mother. Yes? Mine, mother. So now we have to connect. What's two things you have to connect? And new. How will you do it? Both of them about the same time? Yes, great. That's perfect. Okay. Now we make the test. So, first word was meeting. How do you say meeting in Thai? Correct. And how do you say each other in Thai? And how do you say new in Thai? Well, genius. So it's very helpful. It works very well. And if one practice it a bit, one can learn many new words in a day. Actually, usually it's very difficult for people to learn new vocabulary, new sentences. But with this, I saw already for few people they can learn much larger number, like multiply by few. And with actually, in a way, it's more fun. Kind of, it's like an exercise, like physical exercises. It's like stretching the muscle of the injuries. So, this is just a technique to learn some vocabulary.
Bhavna,
I mean, it's all correct. I mean, I don't see.
maybe I think when you were explaining somewhere I was losing it. So just wanted to again reinforce what you have explained. So just some example and then how it needs to be done.
The examples were good. Like, first one, take the word that one knows the meaning in English. For example, meeting, something that we all know. Okay. We start from this. Then we take the word in Thai, which is kind of a strange sound. Now, first, we create this a very memorable, clear image of the English meaning, of the meaning of the word. And it is something that associates that meaning. Okay, so we said, for some people, it will be people sitting by a table having discussion, and for other people, it will be shaking hands with somebody. Each one of them is absolutely fine. It's words which everyone needs to know what is his association, because then it works well. If I just try to copy from somebody else, it may not be meaningful for me. Okay? Then we have the word "ka," which is meaning each other. So we create some symbol for it. That is two people sitting by each other. And then we connect with the strange sound, "ka." We connect it. Now, when we want to recall the word, this is important. We start with the meaning. Okay, what is the meaning? We have meeting. So when we do a recall, we bring back this meaning. Okay, what meaning means? It means shaking hand. But when we do that, we just look few more seconds on those people shaking hands, and then we see that there is a hope. It's hope. Okay? So one needs to kind of first bring the meaning and then see something additional will pop up, will come up. That is the hope. Okay. Then the same is back, we have a thread, new. Then we try to look at this first. What comes up? Mother. Why is that? Because we created a strong visual connection. Our visual memory is very strong. Especially if we hold it well and do it kind of realistically, it can have a long-lasting duration. Okay, now these are just two ways of information. Now another thing is how to memorize, for example, chanting. That's kind of a more complicated task. It's not just one particular word, but it is the whole kind of thing that you eventually have to kind of perform like naturally. So this one you do in stages because it's more complicated. You need to do it step by step. First you establish first step. After this is done, you do the second step. So we'll now take one chant and we try to just memorize three first line. Let's see how it goes. It's more complicated. I say in advance. For many people, it's very difficult to learn the whole chant. It takes much more time than just learning vocabulary. So let's choose a chant that most of us don't know. For example, Atanatya Parita and Mono.
I have been trying to remember one. Which? Mike Pascal. सर माइक पे बोलिएगा प्लीज.
When you do the Devavan, then there is a Yochakumamo, Malapagato, Saman Mabuto, Sugato, Vimuto, Parasya Pasana. So when I listen, when I'm speaking and have the meaning in my mind, then I remember what will come next. But sometimes they get twisted.
Yeah.
They, because they, in the, there is first about Buddha, then about Dhamma, then about Saṅgha. So the attributes there sometimes get crossed up. So I try to uh, recall where is the whether this is a part of Buddha or this is a part of Dhamma.
Yeah.
No, in Saṅgha there is Swabhava Dhammam, Vidita Karoti. Yeah. Because that Swabhava Dhammam is in Saṅgha, not in Dhamma. Yeah. So that would be good if you could explain how to take minimize this kind of difficulty.
Okay.
I don't like this chant, so
Very nice.
I remember it fully.
Yes.
I remember it, but sometimes it is.
Manchmal, yeah. So it is one task to strengthen a chant that you already learned by really getting to mastery over it, and another task to learn a new chant. Two different ways, two different techniques, or two different procedures. So, I think it's okay. Now it's okay now. It's okay, no problem. Let's keep Adi Badri. So let's start with memorizing a new one, and then we come to strengthening one that you know. So the new chant. First, you create an anchor. Otherwise, it's just a lot of information that is just floating around. What is this anchor? There is a well-known technique that many people use. It's called the memory pattern. That is, you take location that you're already familiar with, and you use this familiar information, familiar location, in order to record into it new information. How we do? Let's, for example, take the Saṅgha. So we can think about going in the Saṅgha in a certain order. Let's say with the clockwise. So let's say a person enters the door. First object that he has is a door. Second object that he has is going to, with the clockwise, this is a curtain. Then he continues to walk, and there is an image of the baby Buddha. And under the baby Buddha, there is a radiator, a heater. Okay? Black heater.
Okay. Like you do.
Yes. If you don't see it right now, you can imagine a black heater under the baby Buddha image. Then you continue, there is a chair. Okay? Chair that's sitting there. Then you turn right, and there is a camera. Then turn. Okay? Just a moment.
Books.
Book. Yeah, then there is a bookshelf. Before that, you can have the cabinet of the chanting book, and then the big bookshelf. Okay, let's stop here at the bookshelf. Now, because we are familiar with this space, we already have been here many times. It's kind of already in our mind what it is. So, what is the first object that we have? Door, right? No, it's good. It is good. Then after the door, yeah. Then after the curtain, and under the baby Buddha, behind the heater, yeah. Then turning right, down. And then behind the camera, we have bookshelf. And then behind the bookshelf, big So you see, it's kind of easily because it's already we saw it with time, it's kind of static. If we are not confident, we just repeat it until we are confident. It will come very quickly because we have been here many times. Let's say we try and we jump from the camera to the second bookshelf. We skip the first bookshelf. So what we do is when we first choose the object, this is the end of our days before memorization. We write it down on the paper. Maybe you can, if you have a paper, you can write it down. So we write door number one, number two, head curtain, number three. If somebody needs it away, they can wait for. Number three is the image of the baby Buddha. Number four is a radiator. Number five is a chair. Number six is a camera. Number seven is a small chanting books shelf. And number eight is kind of big bookshelf. So we chose eight objects that will help us with memory. Then next day we need to shape ourselves in order to get confidence about the basic. So without looking at it, we write on another spot of the paper to check whether we can recall those eight objects. So we try number one, we write number two, and so on, the eight objects. When we reach them, just check whether we were correct in all of them or whether we need to uh, remind ourselves and new thing. Okay? Did you finish or not? Yes. Then just check yourself. Look at the first list and see if you got all the objects. Go ahead.
With the eight objects
Yes.
or all, I think I got all the.
Okay, well done. Okay. Thank you. So, in case we got all of them correctly, means that first stage is completed correctly. We can go to second stage. But if we thought that actually first stage didn't work well, we missed some two objects, then we have to remind ourselves to work again in this order and then do another check so that we actually get them. Otherwise, we will not be confident later on to use it for memorizing other information. So we do another check until we get it all correct. Then we can move to the second stage. So second stage, let's take Chanting or Chakuma. Okay? For many of us, it's a new chant or quite difficult. Now, second stage, just take one distinctive word from each line, from the first eight lines. So we don't take the whole sentence, we just choose a distinctive word. For example, if yo, Chakuma, yo is a repetitive word, it appears a lot in many variations. It will be confusing. But Chakuma is more unique. We take this one. Now we think, what is Chakuma or what can it mean for us? I. Perfect. So now we connect the eye, which is the first line, with the first object, which is the door. Now, as I mentioned before, it's good to have balance between the two objects. Otherwise, one of them will disappear later. So we have the big eye coming in the door or whatever, watching the door, half of the door. You can choose whatever for realistic image you can create.
When you Chakkumar is like the understanding.
Mike,
between
Mike,
eyes
Mike, Mike.
And the
Mike,
object you have given. Sorry, when you said the first word, you Chakkumar. So you is a very common word, and you said Chakkumar is like we remember it now because we've been chanting that it is eyes. So that's the first word which comes into mind, and then the eight objects which you give us for the location to identify the location. So I with the door.
Yes.
What is the next step? Did you say, Ajan? After that,
I just mentioned that they should be about the same size.
size.
So the eye should be quite big in order for it to fit in the door. Otherwise, later on when you try to see the door, you will not see the eye, are just too small.
So same size you're saying?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah.
What does it mean, same size?
That the eye measure, big eyes,
Okay.
as big as the door. So the door and the eye be balanced. Then each one of them should be the same.
Same size.
Yeah.
Okay.
So please create an image. Did you already do it? Then we go to the second line. Moha malapaka. You can take the moha into it. Easier for you. Moha. You know the meaning of moha? So, which second object we have in the room? Okay. Yes. Here we will create think how will we create a concrete image of delusion of moha. Think about something. What comes to mind? Can be a certain delusion or a certain state of delusion or a person who is deluded or just think about it. Some delusion. What comes to your everyone has a different image for delusion. Not I cannot tell you what is delusion because maybe I heard a song that said delusion is to want to be calm. But for you, delusion may be a person going getting lost in the journey. Whatever. So everyone has a different image for you. So just think what image comes easily to a mind when you think delusion. Some image will come. We have
Reduces the intensity.
Vanna Mike. Could you hold it a little higher?
yeah.
What came to my mind is curtain reduces the intensity of light. So light reduction might related to delusion.
That's okay. For you, this is what it means. For other people, maybe if this is an image, they will think about completely different. Don't do what works for you. Other people have their own image of delusion and connecting it with the character. You see it very clearly, very much alive for a few seconds, big, colorful. Then you move to the third line. Saman Wabuto. So we can take, for example, Saman and think about something. If you don't have concrete thing with Saman, you think about similar to Saman. You think about Saman now, Saman also can be similar to Saman. There's something that can mean something for you. Okay. So you create an image of what you chose, and you connect it to the next object. After the curtain, what we had. Okay. Now you have to connect these two things in a way which is visual. They are very well connected, not just separated, some on the side, 20 meters outside the Buddha, but very much connected. Okay, then watch it for a few seconds, and then stabilize it. All right, ready? Any questions? Any doubts? Okay, shall we go to the next? Okay, next one we have a radiation. Sugato Imuso. Take the Sugata. Welcome. Can think what reminds Sugato. For example, for some people who have been in a certain monastery in Anachal, with a certain cave, their name is Sugata. They can think about this cave, but for other people, Sugato means welcome. This is somebody walking a far distance. Whatever you can think. And you connect it with the radiation. So, putting in the mind for a few seconds. Okay, let's go for the test. So what did we have in the door? Do you know the line?
You.
And then what we have in the curtain?
More.
Do you know the line?
Okay.
Okay. So for those it's completely new, it will be difficult, but we still have the Moha, and for those that are familiar, it will immediately bring all the right. Moha Malakpa. Then what we have is the baby Buddha. Then you know the mango Buddha, yes. And then we go to the radiant, so what we have there? Okay, Sugato. Right. So in this way, you give yourself a certain base to memorize. Otherwise, it's very difficult to just memorize randomly those kind of different Pali words. So this is just an example. Of course, later when you get good in it, if you use few time, it become much quicker and you can learn 10 lines at a time, 20 lines at a time. Okay? Then for strengthening, so it's much easier after you know religion. So for example, first of all, you have to identify where exactly is the confusion. You said, for example, after the Dhamma, you may bring the Saṅgha. You bring the Saṅgha characteristics others in the Dhamma. Okay.
For example, I remember Maharaj Patha renewal. Then the next line, I
Sir, might
basically came on and used right. Maharaj It's time to Maharashtra Patra very much. Basic came on then very that is beautiful line.
Okay.
This
These are
line
the
I usually
mix.
then next is of course with that one that I never forget. But this one I forget.
Okay. So you know where the weak point. This is already good. Now you can strengthen. So again, you simply take a state that you are familiar with. And for example, take the asana, is the state or the monk sitting. And you can start, for example, from the right side. And we have, let's say, this cushion where one sitting, this cushion. And then there is some flower, this Sarkanta flower. Then we have Korean image, the top. And then, yes, you can have this cabinet down. That's the wooden cabinet. You don't have to think about the building cushion for you. After you. Okay.
So I don't get the way I remembered it is according to the teaching. So there is a sequence and that sequence related to the meaning. And I understand the whole thing. But on the very night, at that particular if somebody gives a cue, for example, when today they were trying to announce, just one cue of your mark, I knew what was followed.
Wow.
So that,
Yeah,
that
okay.
cue gets mixed up.
So for
But
now,
I think it always gets mixed up at the fourth line. Okay?
so it's also fun to use the logic. Since you know some Pali, you can use the logic of the Pali, what is the meaning, and then connect it.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, but you can also use an image, so it creates certain order. Otherwise, it's sometimes another meaning can jump into that place. That it can do. So in that place, this kind of order is helpful. So let's take this one and more the joy of what you call chapter 1.
This line, I sometimes get out.
Okay. So let's remember this is about the Buddha. This whole beginning is about the Buddha. So we can have, for example, an image of the Buddha statue there on the cushion. This is the first one. And or
If I remember this line as being my growing it here at the Buddha and moving it,
yeah.
that is very strict. Martial art almost.
Yeah.
If I remember like that, I get your point, no, the imagery is easier to follow.
Yeah.
So
And
if
it's
I
also,
create a imagery with that line, then it will probably not mix up the problems.
right. And it's also helped to have it in a certain order of location. Let's say you go here from the left to the right, then you have the first line, the beginning, and second line, Bara, and third line, Bara Mises. Will give you some kind of cue. Okay, first every, second have Bara, second, third is between. Otherwise, sometimes it's a mix. So just work on the order according to certain routes that you take. This is very helpful. It needs fewer repetition. It's not work like a complete magic that, just watch the film in your mind one time, then watch it 3 times, okay, first every, and this, and that. Then it's very, very solid because some makes sense with certain location, there is a kind of logic of how to move from one location to the other. Okay. Fine. So this was just first experimentation. Yes. If there are any questions, you are welcome to ask. If none.
So to remember the entire chanting, so we need to have more objectives.
So for example, our Sapna, he did it step by step. Started, for example, one year. So one was about 6 lines or 8 lines sometimes. So we start with 6 objects. Let's say you stop at the camera. Then first empty word from each line connected with. After this is mastered and she tries the whole line. Okay. She sees the eye, then she knows your job. After this is complete, then you simply continue in the route another 6 objects. Continue with the book, with a bigger shelf, then with a ventilator on the ceiling, and with the air conditioner on the wall. Maybe if you try everything at one time, it becomes frustrating. So bit by bit, after you feel confident with one, wait. Yeah, more questions are welcome. Yes, I'm
So, when you remember, when you have learned it well, and still that visualization will remain or that will go away when you
okay.
have memorized.
Right, good question. So, my recommendation in the beginning to keep visualizing it for a certain time because it's easy to feel confident and then suddenly again there are false the memory is gone. For a certain time, one should keep with the individual. And after one become kind of a master memory, just your mouth know what it's done because you regularly, then let's go with the imagery. I did, for example, with the Timonga in the beginning, I used the image that actually helped me. But the things are also did the same in other months as well. Then after you chant it many, many times, you see that you don't really need them. It's kind of like a muscle memory, like right in the bicycle. You don't need it to think about first you put the hand on the second you put the leg. You don't think like that. You just your body knows where it is. So in the same way, after you are confident and did it many times, then no need. But for example, if somebody doesn't chant, they doesn't chant for 1, 2 years, then usually it's good to again create the images, even if it's a new. Still, the effort that was done before is not wasted because it does store somewhere, but it's not clean. It's like rusty. So you create the new images, it become much quicker than first time you learn. And then you use it for some time, then when you are used to it, you let go of the images and just pass them memory or audio memory kind of. The music is just so yeah, beginning just to keep the end goals there. It's very helpful.
It doesn't linger on, I mean, in the sense when you want to drop it, wouldn't it happen that even if sometimes you want to drop it, it won't get dropped? And
Not really. Like just a bit, but it's actually takes some effort to really imagine something. So it's actually very easy to let go. Actually easier to let go than actually to create in yeah. Okay. So for today, that's it. You can vow 3 times.
Araham Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavanta Abhivade Bhagavato Bhagavadadho Dhammam Namassami Upadihano Bhagavato Saṅgha Sangho Sangham Namami
Resolve to visit the exclusion. No. No. No.
Just one announcement for the Zoom participants. We'll have tomorrow morning session live stream from Sangarama.
What's a mic related to?
So with the first words, with the first letter, so I'm not remembering times in army. Always used to make mix. So I just write down the first letter of it. Then join all those 10 letters into a form which I would remember.
Yeah.
And then after that, I mean, order will get mixed up.
Yeah.
Because order would be not the order that Mili Parni has spoken, that does not make you a familiar word. You interchange letters for a familiar word. And that way we at least remember the whole of them.
Yeah. It's,
But the order was very difficult. So please we remember.
yeah. So good, yes. There are many ways to memorizing. It depends on the type of information, type of thing one wants to memorize. The next a good one was of using some kind of when one is the list to use the first letter from each object of the list, and then connect them into kind of word that makes sense. So it's a bit similar to memorizing time. It's a sound that doesn't make sense in the beginning, but then you kind of take it in a way that makes sense. Hope becomes whole. Then it makes sense, much easier to remember. Very difficult to remember an abstract gibberish kind of sound. But when it's a kind of a concrete object that you are familiar with, the mind kind of knows to get it. So it's 10 paradigms, one can put them start with Nekama, Dana, Sila, or Nekama, N, Dana, D, ND, Sila, S, ND, S. So one can think of the word with these three letters. Okay? Just came to my mind, we had this kind of card that was written with no marks. And so of course, one needs to kind of give up the M and no, okay? And later on, when one wants to record it, after one finished memorizing this way, 3 more words for the next 7 party, one remember, okay, first we have the no marks. For example, in order to memorize it, you also have to first, for example, first we have the no marks on the right side. Then later on, you have the second word, which represents the next 3 parameters. So we have no marks. A, and comma. D, done. S, D, done. This is kind of a way to, it's again putting something into a memory in a way more kind of easy to later take it out. Out. Okay.
Okay, tomorrow we have live session from Aranya Sangarama. So kindly join. Can you all hear me?
Yes, 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 yes.